What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm once again joined by Tyler, and we are back for our God of War community series, a community series that airs every single Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, leading up to God of War's release on the PlayStation 4 on April 20th. We have two more after this video, and then we're done. Then the game comes out. We're going to be having a giveaway of the game, and we're going to be having a lot of future content once the game actually comes out. Also, just to quickly mention, the live stream of God of War 3, where we are also giving away God of War 3 Remastered, will be this Sunday at noon on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. I will be live streaming God of War 3, and we'll be giving it away to a viewer, so definitely check that out if you're into free stuff or God of War. So, in this video, we wanted to talk about Kratos. We've talked about him a little bit in the last two videos. Last time we talked about, will the game in general work? And in the first video, we talked about Kratos, but about kind of his immortality. In this video, we want to look at a thing that Cory Barlog, the director of God of War, a guy who's made and been part of the team for a very long time, he did an interview recently. Now, this is from where we're recording this. This is a while ago, but he did an interview recently where he was talking about the growth of Kratos, and I'm going to read the quote out, and I'm going to, Tyler and I are going to go back and forth and discuss what we think it means. He was talking to PlayStation Blog, and one of the quotes was, "To show a sense of growth and change, I think that's very difficult. From a dramatic standpoint, that is an excellent challenge. He is part villain and part good guy." So we just want to kind of talk about, like, what is the part villain part, and even moving into the part good guy, trying to balance a guy who obviously, as we've seen in 1 through 3, isn't the nicest of individuals, and he has seen a complete shift of tone that we've seen, just in the gameplay videos and all the trailers we've seen. He definitely is a different guy now. But for that quote, there definitely is something there. So I'm gonna give it to Tyler. Tyler, what do you think that means, and like, what would you expect from a guy who, like, the studio is trying to balance him being a bad person but also a good person?
I think it's interesting that they say that he's part villain and part good guy, only because usually when you're, writing a character or whatever, you almost always see them, whether they're literally a bad guy or a good guy. Like, let's say Batman and the Joker. When you're writing those, characters, you always see them as the good guy, whether it's a bad guy or not. They're always both the good guy, because they, both believe in a certain way of doing things, and in their mind, they're, the one in the right. They're the ones that are good. So it's interesting that they're saying that he's part good guy and part bad guy, because I would have just assumed that they would have sided with Kratos, like, the Zeus and all them, like, kind of in a way abandoned Kratos. He was Zeus's son. He didn't know that for, a while. It took us 3 games really to find out. I guess 2 games, but 3 games to find out almost. And even more than that, though, like, it led to him losing his wife and child. He made a deal with essentially his brother, Ares, and all this bad stuff happened to him, and basically he wanted revenge. He wanted to kill Ares, and then he's like, well, that's not enough. I'm going to kill all the gods. And, even though Kratos before was, all raging and yelling and all that stuff, you understood why he was so angry, because there was always a reason. Zeus and them literally killed Athena. So that was, Zeus's own daughter. So clearly, if they're okay with killing their own, each other and all that stuff, and they're not really united or anything like that, and they really don't care about the people that exist, the regular everyday people, really, why should they be worshipped in the first place? Why should they have any say on what, people do and how people can suffer or anything like that? So, I get Kratos's motives. But that's why it's interesting for me to hear that they even, and I get why he would be considered the villain, but it's interesting to me that they're even saying that he's part villain. I would have thought that they just automatically saw him as a full-on hero, basically. But the villain part, what I understand, obviously, is that because he killed all of these Greek gods, and they all stood for something, like obviously hell, like bringing the souls and dealing with that kind of stuff, making sure that if you're dead, you go where you're supposed to go, either up or down, and that's where you stay. You don't come back, or you don't still exist among the mortals, the living. The sun gods, the sun has to come out. Poseidon, the water level has to remain a certain way in order for there to be people to live. And it goes on and on and on. And he destroyed all of that. Kratos literally destroyed what I'm going to call, and what I assume based on the trailer and what my actual original theory from the first trailer that came out. And you could go, it's going to be hard for you guys you'd have to really find it. I might find it for you and put it in the descriptions. But Nick and I said that day one, as soon as the trailer came out, that this is a different realm. And it was said in the last story trailer that, Kratos is basically, he's a god, but he's not of this Norse realm. He's of the Greek realm. So I assume that he's not even in the same plane of existence anymore. Because it doesn't make sense that, Kratos killing all these gods and changing or destroying basically the world, how the world works, how it functions, how it would only work, or how it would only not work, basically, for the Greece location. And then there's a invisible line where the other gods and the other belief systems aren't affected. That doesn't make sense. So essentially, Kratos destroyed an entire universe, really, and entered a new universe, and it's this Norse universe, and now he's changed and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's just interesting to me, at least. I don't know about Alex, but it's interesting to me that they even call Kratos a villain. But I get it. But I myself have been writing a story for many, many years now. Alex knows. I've mentioned it on here before too, or at least on podcast now. But for my hero and my villain, they're both heroes. I relate to both. I understand both. I never once ever consider one to be a villain. And sometimes the funny thing is, sometimes when I'm writing about or thinking about the villain, and because I see him as a hero, I think of who is the literal protagonist. I see them as the antagonist. So it's funny that they're, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know.
I didn't exactly even think of the way you're explaining it, but I do agree. I think it is hard to make a person both good and bad, because maybe the way you could think of that, you could just go really literal into that and think, okay, well, there's going to be parts of him that you hate and parts of him that you can understand. Like you were just saying, though, I think a good character, whether or not they're good or bad, you should be able to relate no matter what. So to have Kratos kind of be a split does kind of make you think, okay, well, how exactly are we going to see him as a bad guy? Are we going to see him, when they say part villain, is that the raging, upset Kratos that kills everything, and the good guy is this, calm, more relatable person, with his son? That's what I am thinking. That's really the only way I can see the literal sense of how I can see that going, because people have been talking about, and people have always criticized, I don't remember if we mentioned this in the first video we did about this, but a huge complaint with Kratos, always, not really from me or Tyler, we've always pretty much disagreed with it, actually, is that he yells too much, he's too upset, he's too angry. It's turned people off of the game in general because of how angry Kratos is. I don't think that makes him unrelatable. And like Tyler was just explaining, I did relate to him. I could understand him. I thought he's a good character. And I know there are many people that would disagree and say, no, he's not a good character. And maybe they'll see themselves liking this good guy Kratos, and maybe we will too, because it does seem like he's, that is a character that I would like to explore. I think we haven't been able to see a story being told this way with Kratos, probably because of the way he acts and just the kind of character he is. But it's going to be cool to see. But on the flip side, the bad guy could be, the one that we are all used to seeing, which could upset people that have already, that have said, we don't like this. But for us, we would get the best of both worlds. So it's interesting. It depends on how you look at it, and it depends on which Kratos you actually like, as well as how literal you take Cory Barlog's quote from or not. But it is interesting how you tell a character to be good and bad at the same time. So we'll have to see how that pans out.
The last thing that I'll say about this that is interesting, I think, is that, does this mean that we're going to see a return of, and obviously it would be different. It wouldn't be the same. We would never get the same Kratos as we had from God of War 1, 2, 3, and even Ascension. Does this mean that we're going to see possibly a return to a more angry, vengeful Kratos? Because so far, I don't even see, and this is what is interesting to me so much, I don't even see at all the villainous type or the part villain from God of War 2, God of War 3. I wouldn't even really consider God of War 1 because he definitely had motives and good reason. But I don't even see like how he was from like God of War 2 or God of War 3 at all in this game. It looks like he really cares about his son. When his wife dies, like, and they're burning the body, and the whole goal that basically, that's the beginning of the story, and then it becomes something more when the kid gets sick, is to bring his dead wife, the kid's mother, to like the top of the mountain, and I believe they're gonna spread her ashes. But it's like, is that what a part villain character would do? No. And he talks very like somber. He teaches the boy like, what the true weapon is, like where the true power of a weapon comes from, and it's not, the tool, it's what's inside, but like your heart. Like that doesn't sound like a villain. So why that even was said is interesting because they themselves have said that this is like a fresh slate. You essentially, if you've played God of War 1 through 3, cool. You don't need to. I wouldn't even be surprised if they talk about it very little in this game. I don't even see it being in the introduction. I think we'll get little hints, like we'll see that grease jar that I believe has Kratos on it. It does actually. But I guarantee, and then, we'll see some of the stuff that he used to wear on his new outfit, under his new outfit. But I don't think we're going to get much of like, oh yeah, well, Zeus, my father, this and that. We're not going to get that. Athena, Gaia, no, we're not even going to hear about that stuff. So it's just interesting that they're bringing up and they themselves have also said, like, he's not a brand new character, but we're seeing a side of him that we've never really seen before, so it is kind of like writing a new character. So then why are we talking about how he used to be? Or is he still going to be part villainous? Because I didn't think he, was going to be that way anymore. I thought they wanted to move away from that, and I still do think that. I just think, like, the choice of words was a little bit strange. Because what I truly believe that they're going to be doing with this entire, let's say that this is another trilogy. And then after that is, let's say, another trilogy. And then let's say they're done after that. I don't think Kratos is ever going to go away because of what we talked about in the last video with him being immortal, which works for that type of thing, like constantly having him around and putting him in different scenarios. But like for this trilogy, I truly believe that the whole journey for Kratos is like redemption for what he's done in the previous trilogy. He knows what he's done. And he's suffering for it, and now he's got this boy and all that. But there's going to be obviously more, depending on the end of this new God of War. Not God of War 4, God of War. So it's a new slate, a new clean slate for everybody, really, for Kratos, everybody. And I just feel like this whole new like character arc for Kratos is going to be about redemption. Much like, and the funny thing is about that, I'll say real fast, because there is a connection that I'm about to make. And I think I'm right. And it's interesting that we're getting this in God of War and I guess I'll say PlayStation itself, because I believe the first Last of Us was about love. The second one is about hate. And I believe that the third one, part 3, so part 2 that's going to be coming up probably next year, I don't know, is about hate, which would be like Ellie kind of hating the Fireflies and all that stuff, we assume. And then part 3, I believe, will be about redemption. But what's interesting is if you look at God of War, I think the first trilogy was about hate. I believe that this new current, if it is a trilogy, will be about redemption. And then I think the third, and maybe final, but I don't know, will be about love. So it's almost similar. And the funny thing is that, we could even already see the redemption phase like starting in this game. But I think it's interesting that both of these PlayStation exclusives contain similar, but obviously completely different, but very similar, like, I don't know, themes. And it'll be interesting to see what new PlayStation exclusives come out in the near future and the future that, are they going to contain similar themes? And I believe that they will, because I feel like it's more adult. I believe that adults can relate more to that because they've experienced more in their life.
So let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you agree with Tyler? I definitely think that he's onto something there. Let us know. Make sure, again, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. These are going to come out still. We got 2 left. The next 2 Wednesdays at noon, we're going to be talking about God of War related topics, and then the game comes out April 20th. This Sunday, we're going to be having the live stream for God of War 3. We're going to be playing it pretty much the entire day and giving away a copy to somebody that watches, so we're very, very excited to do that. I'm very excited to jump back into God of War right before the game comes out, and then we'll be having a ton of stuff post God of War coming out, including a giveaway on that game itself. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.